Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Denton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. We have more cards today, more spoilers for the upcoming set, Domination. Probably gonna be a fairly fast spoiler card review, card reaction stream today. Mostly because we didn't get many cards. I think we got 6 or 7 cards, somewhere around that. No new mechanics, no new champions. I think we got a new darkin weapon though, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, probably not gonna be too long of a video, but you know, like all of these kind of videos, I'll talk about the cards, we'll look at them, try to evaluate them, talk about whether I think they're good or bad, and what kind of decks they go into, and so on and so forth. So let's go and look at these cards right now. Okay, so as I was saying, 7 cards. Technically, one is from another card. But we'll start off with Fracture. I don't know how to evaluate this card, by the way. Fracture is a 2-mana slow speed Freljord spell. Deal 1 to everything or destroy a unit's equipment. So, first off, does this mean that like every region is going to have, by the end of all the Darkin sets, is every region just going to have access to some way to destroy equipment? Because if so, that's pretty cool. Like, so far we've got what? Ionia has... Does Ionia have anything? I know Demacia has Suppress and Silence. I think that's the name of the card. The 1-mana, basically an Equinox. Heavy Metal is in Bilgewater, and Quietus is in Shadow Isles. And now we're going to get another one in Freljord. I think that's it. I don't know if we have any. I would love to see a way to destroy equipment that's not a spell, kind of like attached to a unit as a skill instead. You know, I can't remember the name of it. Like the 4-mana 2/4 in Shurima that destroys a landmark can destroy yours or your enemies. If it destroys yours, you get the Rock Bear, a 5/5 nowadays. But yeah, as for Fracture itself, is the card good? I think this is a meta call. First off, also, Freljord's kind of a joke right now, in all honesty. Sure, like, name the best Freljord champion right now. That's my challenge to you. Spoilers, you probably can't, because I don't think any of the Freljord champions are good. Maybe, like, Gnar? If you want to include Gnar as the best, maybe... I guess... Tryndamere because of Field Rush, and Field Rush is not that great right now either. I think like Freljord's really, really down in the dumps right now, both from not really having any powerful champion to carry it, kind of like how, in my opinion, Vandal City is getting carried by Nora a bit right now, and also just not knowing what it's trying to do. Like, you got like overwhelm stuff, that's cool and all, and you got some weird control-y rampy stuff, and control-y rampy stuff is kind of bad right now in the meta because of a lot of reasons. Nami is one of those reasons. As for this card though, I don't know. I think, again, like I was saying earlier, I think it's a meta choice. I think you will play this if equipment is popular. If equipment's not that popular, I don't see why you would play this over Ice Shards. Sure, you can say, well, compared to Ice Shards, it is 1 less mana. It's at 2 mana. Yes, but slow speed hurts a lot, in my opinion. But I don't know. Maybe if like there's a lot of Darkin weapons, maybe a lot of people are playing like Darkin Halberd, Bloodletters. I don't know, Lodestones. Maybe this card will be good. And on top of that, I think the deck you're playing does want to have a slow speed Ice Shards in general. And I guess a lot of decks will play slow speed Ice Shards anyway. Like, Ice Shards is an okay card. So I think it's a fine card. I've heard some people saying, like, this card's OP, this card's busted. I think people are overreacting to this card. Yes, it's a good way of dealing with Zolani in the form of Darkin Bloodletters, but you also have to play Freljord is the other thing. So though, I think it's playable, I think it's good, I just don't think it's a OP meta-defining card like I've seen some people talking. Next up, Warden of the Tribes. I like this card. 9 mana 6/6 Overwhelm. Very expensive card. When I'm summoned, grant allies +1/+1 for each different subtype you've summoned this game. If you don't know what the subtypes are, because I've had some people on my stream asking me, what does it mean by subtypes? Subtypes are tribes. If you come from Magic, we can use that. Types. The word on the tops of certain cards, you know, like darkin, poros, yetis, cultists, yordles, etc., etc. Here's my problem with this card. While I like the card's effect, first off, it is a permanent buff too, so that's pretty nice, and it has Overwhelm itself. And the way it's worded, I am pretty sure it should buff itself. My problem is it's 9 mana. At 8 mana, I'd be a lot more excited for this card, but at 9 mana, it's asking you to do a few things. I guess not die before turn 9 so you can actually play it. But you want to be able to go wide. Freljord's not that great at going wide, so I guess your secondary region is the go wide region. So Bandle City and Targon and PNZ are decent at going wide, so one of those 3 regions is probably the region of your choice. Number, I guess, 3, the third thing it wants you to do is play a lot of different subtypes. Are we playing Poros? Are we playing Yetis? I feel like that's going to be the big challenge with this, is getting enough subtypes that you're happy with this. At what point of playing this card, how many buffs, basically, how many stats do you want before you play this card? Do you want +2/+2 to everything? Are you happy with that? I think +2/+2 is the minimum to not hate playing this card. And I don't think that's difficult, especially if you're playing Targon. Targon gives you access to Celestials. You could even, you're in Freljord, so you could play Gnar. Gnar gives you the Yortle check. Freljord also has access to Poros. I mean, every region has Poros, but Freljord has Poros. Freljord also has Yetis. You could play the Yeti Trapper, whatever his name is, the 3-mana 3/3 that puts the 1-mana 5/5 Yeti in the top 3, I think, of your deck. Elnuks are a thing too. There's actually a card, I believe it's 3 mana, that says draw every Elnuk, Poro, and Yeti from the top, I want to say 5 of your deck, maybe 3. I can't remember the exact number. That card has never seen play because it's kind of trash. Because putting Poros, Yetis, and Elnuks in your deck is bad. I think there's also only like 3 Elnuks in this game anyway. There's like the 4/5 Elnuk, 5-mana Elnuk, and the 3-mana 3/4 Elnuk? Or is that a 4-mana 3/4? I can't remember. And I think that's all the Elnuks in the game. So I don't know. The only problem, I love this card, I just think it's a little too expensive. The reason I like this card is I look at this card and it reminds me of Winding Light a lot. Winding Light had a few things going for it though compared to this. One, it was in Targon, and Targon's a great region, and this is Freljord. Freljord's kind of a trash region right now. Number 2, it was also 7 mana, so it was a lot cheaper than this. Sure, you can argue, well, Winding Light didn't give a permanent buff. Yeah, but you usually played Winding Light as a finisher and then finished them off if they were still alive with some burn, which I guess you could do that with this by playing PNZ. Also, Winding Light was technically a Nightfall card, so you could cheat it out on turn 6 with a Lunari Duskbringer, Dusk Petal Dust. Still, though, overall, I think the card's pretty fine. I think, like, Targon or PNZ is the way to go with this card. Targon's kind of nice. You can use Moon Silvers to discount it if you want, but really, I don't know. I just think it's got two big hurdles to overcome. That is, one, it's really expensive mana cost, which is whatever. The other one is the deck building cost of fitting enough subtypes and being able to consistently hit enough subtypes that you're happy playing this. I feel like once you hit 3 and more subtypes summoned before you summon this card, you really like this card. So yeah, I like it. Pretty solid card. Solid finisher, I think, for Freljord decks. Next up, this card I have no idea how to evaluate. I also have no idea if it's supposed to be Twilight Protector, because it's spelled Twilight Protector. I think it's supposed to be Twilight, but that's kind of weird. But yeah, Twilight Protector. 2 mana 2/2, Targon card. Daybreak, give Daybreak allies +1/+1 this round. Nightfall, grant Nightfall allies +1/+0 this round. So it's a Daybreak Nightfall combo card. First off, we have to see, like, Ravoon. Ravoon, with these kind of cards, you play Ravoon. You have Ravoon on the field, you play this. After you play a second card, you get both a Daybreak and Nightfall. We know that works because of things like Eclipse Dragon. Is this card good, though? Well, first off, it's not a 2-drop. Yes, it says it's 2 mana, but you're not playing this on turn 2 unless you're against the most aggressive deck and you just need a 2 mana 2/2. And I mean, that will happen if this card's playable. My major problem with this card is it only buffs Daybreak and Nightfall cards. When I first saw this card, I was actually a little high up on this card and thought this card had some decent potential because I didn't see it only gives Daybreak allies +1/+1. I thought if you Daybreak, it just gives allies +1/+1, and I was like, that's pretty good. 2 mana 2/2 Daybreak, give your board +1/+1. I guess it does technically buff itself too, because it is technically a Daybreak and Nightfall card. But yeah, I don't know, like, what deck wants this? I don't think Nightfall would play this card. You need to have enough Nightfall and Daybreak cards in your deck to actually get the buff. So I think it's a Daybreak deck plays this. And yes, I do know there is a Leona Diana deck out there that plays both Daybreak and Nightfall cards. I think that's a pretty bad deck, in all honesty. I feel like that deck gets better by just cutting Diana and just playing like Leona Galio or Leona Aesol. So yeah, I don't know what deck wants this. Maybe it is meant to be a buff towards Leona Diana decks. You know, you buff Leo, you have Ravun on the field, I guess. You have Diana, you play this, you get the Daybreak and Nightfall, activates Diana, I guess, gives Daybreak synergy. It just seems like a lot of moving parts. Like, you need the Leona on the field, you need Diana on the field, you need Ravun on the field, and then you play this, and that just feels like a really, really easily disruptible kind of game plan. But I mean, 2 mana, or giving your board +1/+1 is pretty powerful for an effect, and it is relatively cheap. So I think it might see some play. I guess it's also a decent hit off of Ravun, but I'm not sure just what deck wants this. Like, I don't think Daybreak would play this. I don't think this Daybreak, like a full-on Daybreak deck with no Nightfall at all, I don't think would play this card. Maybe, like, Daybreak decks do struggle with finishing the game, but I don't think this helps them close out the game as well as you want it to. Next up, we got a Darkin weapon, Darkin Harpoon here. So we also have another Darkin. First off, we'll talk about the weapon. Why not? Darkin Harpoon is a 2 mana +1/+0 equipment. It also has Fearsome. Okay. So 2 mana, give the unit +1/+0 and Fearsome. That alone is pretty solid. Attack, draw 1 at the next round start. Give it Fleeting. So TF loves this. So between this and the card draw spell, Bilgewater is getting some pretty nutty card draw. Spend 9 mana to play. You can spend 9 mana instead to play this as Ibaros. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Also turns out Ibaros is the guy from Unending Wave. But yeah, we'll just look at it like this. I'm gonna just keep saying like Ibaros. If it's Ibaros, I apologize, but I'm gonna say Ibaros until I get corrected and figure out the proper pronunciation. So what is Ibaros? Ibaros is a 9 mana 0/0, and he's a Darkin. Okay, he has to do something if he's a 0/0 for 9 mana. He has +1/+1 for each card you've drawn this game, and it can only be blocked by enemies with 4 or more power. So he basically has Fearsome +1, Mega Fearsome, Ultra Fearsome. My question is, what happens if you silence him? If you silence him, does he just go to a 0/0 and die? Like, if you hush Ibaros, does he just melt away and just turn into nothing and die? I don't know. Because, like, I kind of feel like if you silence him, he's just going to die. Also, with the way he's worded, it seems like he's going to keep growing as you keep drawing more and more cards when he's already on the field, which is pretty good. So yeah, I don't know about Ibaros. Ibaros, I guess, is like, it's just like Terolsh, I think is the name of the Darkin from the Darkin Halberd. It's just like, you care more about the Harpoon, kind of like Zolani and the Bloodletters. You care more about the weapon form, and it's just, if you make it to a late game and you just haven't won the game yet, or your game plan's not working, you play the Darkin. Doesn't seem like a Darkin Lodestone where it's just like, okay, it's turn 8, summon Harazi. But yeah, I'm having a hard time evaluating this card. This card is just, I see the word draw card, or the line draw 1. I like things that draw. You don't, now the problem is you have to attack. That's already kind of the first problem. That's not that bad. You just put it on like an elusive or something. You're in Bilgewater, put this on Fizz, right? This on Fizz, like Fizz TF, is a little scary. Fizz TF with all this card draw is getting a little more and more scary, in all honesty. And the other problem is it is fleeting, so sometimes you'll just draw a card you can't cast or don't want to cast that turn, so that's kind of whatever, but that's true of anything that gives fleeting draw, so it's whatever. And the third problem is you don't get the card right away, so it does take a while to start getting the value. I still think it's a pretty good card. I think Fizz TF really, really loves this card. Fizz TF loves card draw. You put the, and then again, like I said earlier, you put this on Fizz. It's such a cheap card too. A really big fan of this card. Just not sure what deck I'll play it in. I guess like also maybe Action Bilgewater deck, Action Nami maybe, perhaps Action TF. I can see that. So yeah, I like the card. I think it's a pretty solid card. And our last couple of cards. Test of Spirit, not much to talk about with this. 1 mana focus speed spell. Give an enemy vulnerable this round. If it dies, deal 1 to enemy nexus. We kind of have a card like this already. It's called Ye Been Warned. Ye Been Warned is pretty much the same exact thing, except it's slow speed. And it says if the enemy dies, you get to draw 1. So the only reason I'm going to play this card over Ye Been Warned is I care about the focus speed. Maybe I care about the plunder, the ping, whatever, but it doesn't seem like it's enough burn to actually be meaningful. But, you know, every little bit helps. And again, focus speed is pretty nice. You have a nice wide board. Obviously, from the artwork, it is kind of like, it looks like it's Alawi related. And I get it. It's like, oh, yeah, you have a big tentacle or a big Alawi and you play Test of Spirit before they can develop the board and you drag in the small unit you tested with Alawi or the Overwhelmed Tentacle. Like, I get that. That seems cool, but I think it's a solid card. I think it's fine. It's just, it's not exciting. Like, that's the thing I guess I can say is there's not much to talk about with this card. It's solid, I guess, in Overwhelm, Bilgewater, decks that play Bilgewater and are playing Overwhelmed units. And our last card, I can't really evaluate this one that well. Scrappy's Partsapalooza. It's a landmark, 2 mana. When I'm discarded, summon me. I like that. When you summon a Mecha Yortle, grant a random keyword. I don't like that. There are Mecha Yortle champions. I believe, what's his name? Rumble. Rumble is one, and I think the only other Mecha Yortle champ is level 2 Vhagar. Only level 2 Vhagar. Level 1 Vhagar is not a Mecha Yortle. So I don't think you're going to play this in some weird Vhagar deck. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some weird, like, control Vhagar Darkness Mecha Yortle deck in the future, depending on cards that are printed. As for this card itself, I don't think it's a great card. I'm actually curious how this would work with Rumble. If you play Rumble and discard this with Rumble, would this get summoned first and buff the Rumble? Like, I'm wondering just how the ordering and how the cards and effects will resolve if you discard this with Rumble. Because, you know, Rumble's a Mecha Yortle. Like, will this give Rumble a keyword or will it not? But yeah, as for this card, I don't think it's that good. It's discard fodder, which, I mean, Bandle discard, I guess, does not have much of, if any, I think. Like, anything that wants to get discarded. They have ways to get discard fodder, like Yodel Squire's card she creates when she's summoned. Bandle Commandos, Owl Cats are discard fodder, but nothing like this. Nothing like a Flame Chompers or anything that wants to get discarded. I think this is the first one. So that's nice, but it's kind of locked into Mecha Yortles. If you're playing anything discard that's not Mecha Yortles, then I don't see why you would play this card. And I think Mecha Yortles are kind of trash. But maybe Mecha Yortles, maybe Rumble decks can play this, like some kind of Rumble Scion Mecha Yortles, Draven Rumble Mecha Yortles. The problem with those decks are they don't usually play Bandle. They were usually like Noxus PNZ because, you know, Rumble is a Vandal Noxus combo dual champ. So yeah, I don't know about this card. Maybe we'll get a little bit more Mecha Yortle support, but I don't think this card alone is enough to bring Mecha Yortles into relevance. And that is all the cards, because yeah, this is Varus. We talked about him yesterday. Nice variety. Nothing here really gets me too excited, in all honesty. The Darkin Harpoon is kind of exciting, I guess. Like, that's really, really cool. I like card draw cards, but as for the other cards, I'm not too excited about that, except for, I guess I am a little excited about Warden of the Tribes, but yeah, Twilight Protector, Hearts of Palooza, Tested Spirit, and Fracture, they're fine. Like, I don't think anything here is really bad. I think the worst card is actually Parts of Palooza, and I don't even think it's that bad, but nothing too exciting except for the Harpoon and Warden's a little expensive. But maybe I'm wrong here. I'd love to hear your opinion on these cards down in the comments below and what you think about them in general. And if you guys just enjoyed the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me and helps out the channel. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Senaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.